Hi everyone, in this video I will start creating our road corridor. This is the first assembly of few different components that will show us our road in 3D. Currently all the work that we have been doing in 2 dimensions, so we've got the alignment horizontally, the profile vertically for both profiles, existing and proposed profile. We created a cross-section configuration for our road in 2 dimensions. At this point we start creating our road corridor that will combine all these components together. We start creating the first 3D assembly of our road. So to do that, we go to corridor creation. As we agreed, having your file organized is very important at this stage here. I'll call it a proposed profile or proposed corridor or pro corridor without one. It's asking me what kind of configuration you want to choose for your corridor. I'm choosing the alignment and the profile for our corridor, alignment 1. And very important, this is a very common mistake. Lots of people, they create their corridor and doesn't show much of a corridor there, and the reason they chose the wrong profile. Simply they created their corridor on the existing surface rather than the proposed profile. Okay, so make sure that you click on the profile and choose your proposed profile, not the existing profile. Assembly, we have one assembly. We should have assembly 1 only. And another common mistake that lots of people, they forget to choose their surface target. This is where the software is connecting your new proposed corridor surface down the track or corridor arrangement to an existing surface. So we have to make sure that we have a target where we had the final 6-in-1 daylight configuration that needs to be connected to a certain surface around it. So we choose the existing ground surface and we go OK. These are the 4 checks that you have to do. Mainly keep an eye on the profile and the target surface. Go OK. The software will give us this menu here just to make sure that we understand what we have on the menu, showing us what horizontal alignment we're choosing. Again, this is another way to check your components here in case you've got something wrong, then you can change it from here. Okay, so in case that you chose from before the existing surface, you have it here, and then you can just go back here and check. Now I want the proposed profile, not the existing surface profile. So we've got the alignment 1, proposed vertical profile. We've got assembly 1, and this is showing us the start and the end, what frequency. We'll talk about the frequency in a minute, and what target. You can check on the target and make sure that you've got the existing surface. These are the important components. Now for the frequency, simply what software is doing, let me create the corridor and I'll show you that. So I've got frequency at 20 meters currently. So I'll rebuild my corridor, and this is creating my corridor now. So what is the corridor made of? Simply just a series of profiles. If I look at them in 3D, so object viewer, so we got these cross sections, what we created, aligned next to each other at a certain distance away from each other and connected together to create a corridor. This is basically the corridor that we're creating for our road and showing the cut and fill components that we have. So in this instance, that's why it's better maybe to have a lesser frequency around the curves that will provide better accuracy here for our corridor, and maybe we can maintain the frequency of 20 meters on the straight lines here, the tangents. Okay, so around the curves, let's reduce our frequency to 5 meters. On the straight lines, we keep that frequency at 20 meters. So to do that, you can just simply, by selecting the corridor here, edit frequency for this corridor, and I'll keep the tangent frequency at 20 meters, but around the curves, vertical and horizontal, I'll make that 5 meters. Okay, and even if we have spirals, currently we don't have in our road, and we'll keep that at 5 meters. Choose OK, and as you can see, that provided a lesser frequency and more cross sections around the curves here, which will provide better accuracy for our road design. So by creating the corridor here, if I look at all these components in 3D, if you would like, really we haven't achieved much Simply we just added a few different components at the same time. You can't see much of it really. All what you can see here is the fill area showing the road above the existing surface. So what we have to do now, we have to create a separate surface for our corridor. By creating a separate surface for our corridor, that will allow us to create a combined surface for the existing ground and the corridor surface, which is what we call it, the finished ground surface. So to do that, for creating a surface for the corridor, very simple and easy, as long as you keep an eye on a few details. So by just clicking on the corridor, we've got the corridor surface command here that we can choose, and then all we have to do, just by clicking on this, that will add the corridor. That's the only corridor we've got there. Where do we need to add the surface? We need to add it for the top components, the top surface of the corridor. So I'll add that. Keep an eye, very important step, to create boundaries for your surface. Without creating boundaries, that will create lots of irregularity on your surface, so your surface will be not that accurate. That's what we don't want to. So by right click on it, corridor extends as an outer boundary. That means I'm asking the software, make sure that the corridor outer boundaries will create a outer boundaries for my surface too. So choose OK and rebuild my corridor, and I'll say OK, and that created our surface there. If I look at the surface of the corridor only, so just by selecting the surface only and OK to object viewer, so you can see now we've got this surface here just for the corridor, for the road mainly, the road corridor, showing just the cut and fill and the surface of the top surface of the road. Close that. So since we've got now, if we look at our components, as you can see, under surfaces we've got the existing ground surface, and we've got now the proposed corridor surface. Okay, so what we need to create now, a one surface, a design surface. Currently we have an existing, as you can see, the existing ground surface is grey or in a grey color. That means it's just an existing ground or a background, what we call it here in the software, when we choose the properties of that. So if I right click on it, surface property, it should be 1 in 5 background. That means it's an existing. What we need to create now, one surface, which will be the finished ground surface for both of them, for the corridor and the existing ground. So to do that, we'll just create a surface. We call it the existing ground. So from here, create surface, and let's call it the FG, finished ground surface, and that will be a design surface, as you can see. So we chose the configuration of a design, so that will be slightly differentiated in color mainly, and we give it a name there. And how do we add? As you know, when we create a surface, we create the name first, and then we start adding information to that surface name, or start adding definition to our surface. So how would we define our finished ground surface? By going to the finished ground here, and just go to definition, and in this case we've got two surfaces to be added there, so we'll go to edits and paste surfaces. So that's what we're going to do. We are going to paste a few different surfaces into this one surface, and then the software will create that one surface for all of them. So the first surface we need to paste there or add will be our existing ground. Always add the existing ground first. So we add the existing ground, that's added there. That's not finished yet, that's only just basically now the existing ground, as this is mainly just the existing ground. Okay, what we need to add into it, another one, paste another surface, which is our corridor surface. Now by adding these two together, we pasted the two surfaces, or we combined them into one surface. So if I look at them now, we have one surface that's showing two components together, or the two surfaces together in one surface. Okay, we combined all of them. That's showing the road here connecting to the existing two roads, and the cut and fill arrangement around our road. Close that. And at this point we don't need the existing surface anymore, so I'll go just to any one of these gray lines, select them. That way I'll select the existing surface, or just to be more precise, go to existing surface, and let's go to, on the prospector here, I click on the existing surface, and let's make this no display. We don't need the existing surface anymore at this point here. Okay, and there you go. You've got your existing surface hidden now. You've got your corridor and the corridor surface. We combined it with the existing surface into a finished ground surface. At this point we finished kind of modeling for our road, guys. We created our alignment based on the requirements we had from the client. We created our existing profile based on the location of that alignment. We created the blue line, which is the proposed profile, what we think would be better for the location of that road as a preliminary judgment on that road, or design for that road. I am saying it's a preliminary because this is the stage where we start refining our work. And also we created our road cross section, so at this point of time we can start looking into our road, start having better understanding of the cut and fill, and what should we do to create our final design. In the next video, we start looking at how to analyze this surface.